Mic check. 1, 2, 1. Good. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Thompson, Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations for the Western Athletic Conference. Okay. Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations for the Western Athletic Conference, and I want to be among the first to welcome you to NRG Center today for this exciting announcement. Before we begin, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. If everybody can please silence your cell phones, that would be appreciated. In addition, if you need to take a phone call during today's event, we ask that you please excuse yourself to a quieter place. In accordance with Harris County, Houston Texans, and WAC COVID protocols, we ask that you please remain masked at all times unless you're speaking at the podium or conducting an interview. Here's a quick rundown on today's schedule. At 11 a.m., we will have Houston Texans President Jamie Roots give a brief welcome. Following him will be WAC Commissioner Jeff Hurd, who will give his remarks before welcoming Grand Canyon University President Brian Mueller. President Mueller will give his remarks on behalf of the current WAC presidents before introducing Abilene Christian University President Dr. Phil Schubert, who will give remarks on behalf of the new WAC presidents. Following the remarks, we will have a ceremonial signing featuring the 5 new presidents, and we will have some other group photo opportunities as well. At approximately 11:30 a.m., we will begin the question and answer portion of today's event with Commissioner Hurd, President Mueller, and President Schubert. And at approximately noon, we will move on to the breakout press conferences with the individual institutions. So at this time, I would like to ask the presidents of our 5 new institutions to please come up on stage.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie Roots, and I'm president with the Houston Texans and Lone Star Sports and Entertainment. And I'm glad to see that I don't have a seat up here because it obeys the 3 B's. Be brief, be clear, and be gone. So I'll be gone right after this. So I did learn a lesson about these masks. We did a media engagement over at NRG Stadium at the beginning of the season, and I did it with the mask on. I almost suffocated. So you have to take your mask off when you're talking. So I hope that doesn't offend anybody. So it really is a great pleasure to welcome you to NRG Park. This is NRG Center, and then across we've got NRG Stadium, which is one of the great sports stadiums on the planet and has been the host to so many incredibly important events, none more important to me in my heart and to our community than the Battle of the Piney Woods. And today we have something very exciting to talk to you about that does relate to the Battle of the Piney Woods and those 2 great institutions, Sam Houston State University and Stephen F. Austin. It was over a decade ago that I had an idea that this wonderful rivalry that has been in place for almost a century, that we might be able to take it off campus and bring it to Houston and make it even better than it's been in the past. The Battle of the Piney Woods in Houston, Texas at NRG Stadium. Did it with some great friends and friendship is going to be the theme of my remarks here. One is Bobby Williams, who's here today as the athletic director of Sam Houston State University, who I didn't know before we brought the game here, and he's been, become one of my best friends in the sports industry. Also, Robert Hill at Stephen F. Austin, who's now retired as the athletic director. Both of them instantly saw the vision for what we could create together with the power of the Houston Texans and Lone Star Sports and Entertainment and the great rivalry that exists between these two historic Texas institutions. The reason we did it, because people ask me all the time, why do you do college football? Why are you involved with soccer? We have a vision for the Houston Texans that carries over to Lone Star Sports and Entertainment. We're about three things: winning championships. The Battle of the Piney Woods each year is a championship. Somebody walks away as the victor, and the other has to wait 365 days for their chance to earn that title. Number two is to create memorable experiences. And we have the opportunity through this game to create memorable experiences for the alumni of those two great institutions, the students, Houston, the players. All have a chance to have an experience that they will never forget, which is really amazing for us. Number three is to do great things for Houston. This is a wonderful property to have in our community every year, and we're blessed that we had that opportunity. Also, we are focused on doing great things for the game of football at all levels. We love to support our Texas institutions. So for so many reasons, this just felt right. And when you do things for the right reasons, it's amazing the results that you can achieve. And the results that we've had far exceeded our initial expectations. Even so much so that a few years ago, we changed our deal to be forever. Unless something changes and somebody wants out, we're never going to talk about it again. This game is permanently in the city of Houston. It's one of the top 5 FCS games in attendance since 2010, every year. Amazing that you can draw those kinds of crowds and you're not even on either one of the school's campuses. It's been great for the schools, for the programs, for the athletes, and that's why we're here today. It's great to welcome our old friends, Stephen F. Austin and Sam Houston State, and we're always pleased to welcome new friends into our family. The WAC, Abilene Christian University, Lamar University, and Southern Utah University. And I've said friendship so many times, and I'll explain to you why that matters so much to us. We are all about Texas. And when you look at the word Texas, the translation in Spanish is Tejas. And the word Tejas comes from an Indian word that literally means friendship. No city in Texas takes that more seriously than Houston. And we embrace it too. Anytime we can make new friends, that's what we're all about. And glad to have all of you here today as our friends. And I want to bring up my new friend, the WAC Commissioner, Mr. Jeff Hurd. Please give him a round of applause. We can do that in 2021.
I can breathe. It's good. Good morning. It's just amazing to see a great crowd here today. And, I can't think of a more appropriate setting for this announcement. Right out the back, you have the football stadium where there's a lot of college football is played there in addition to the Battle of the Piney Woods. But also, I was here 4 years ago, I believe it was, when the NCAA men's basketball Final Four was played in that facility. And as many of you know, it's going to be played there again in 2 more years. So I think it's very appropriate from a WAC standpoint that it's basketball and football centric here. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm also not exactly going out on a limb to say that there's a secret why we're here. I think I learned a long time ago that it's really hard to keep ahead of the sources said element of the media. So we've been obviously dealing with that for a while. But we're here to announce 5 new institutions coming to the Western Athletic Conference. Originally, the effective date of July 1, 2022, but put an asterisk by that date, and I'll get to that in more detail here in a little bit. But before I do that, I want to recognize the individuals that are here from the WAC at the table here. Way down to my left there, Scott White, president of Southern Utah University. Lisa White from Sam Houston State University. Scott Gordon from Stephen F. Austin. Excuse me. Kenneth Evans from Lamar University and Scott Wyatt, or excuse me, Phil Schubert from Abilene Christian University. I lost track of my thoughts there. Did I get everybody right? I did. Okay, Scott got you right. And Brian Mueller, president of Grand Canyon University. We also have two other presidents here from the current WAC membership. James Hurley, the president from Tarleton State, is here, and Biff Williams, the president of Dixie State University, is also here. In addition to that, we have 10 of the 13 athletics directors from the conference that are here. And guys, just raise your hand. I'm just going to run off the names to recognize you. Ron Prettyman from California Baptist, Mario Mocha from New Mexico State, Chase Conk from UTRGV, Jared Sumption from Utah Valley, Alon Reisman from Tarleton State, Alan Ward from Abilene Christian, Marco Bourne from Lamar, Bobby Williams from Sam Houston State, and Ryan Ivey from Stephen F. Austin. So I really appreciate everyone being here today. I want to thank you for all your work that you've done with this. And I also want to thank my staff. For the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been really working hard, not only to put this together, this event together, but also to just do the normal course of business and try to figure out how we're going to play a basketball game or two and other sports things that we're dealing with the COVID situation, and every conference in the country is. But 3 of those individuals are here too. Chris Thompson, assistant commissioner that for media relations that you saw earlier, sitting down here on the back here on the standard. Eric Danner, or over here. Eric Danner from he's the director of the WAC Digital Network. Then also my number 2 and the deputy commissioner and COO of the WAC, Ron Lockery, is here. So those 3, along with our staff in Denver, has done a great job of working with us and putting it together, and I appreciate their efforts. For those who don't know my background, I've been with the WAC for more than 3 decades. And this is my 8th year as the commissioner. And that's not important for any other reason than my longevity. And the longevity is significant because during that time, I guess this is not my first rodeo. I've been through numerous comings and goings with conference membership, 54 to be exact. 27 coming in and 27 going out. So today to announce 5 coming in is a real thrill for me. I'll also say that today's announcement, and during my time in the WAC, is not only the most significant, but also the most impactful of any of the previous ones. And it's not even close. This is not a routine announcement. This is a historic announcement for the conference. And it's interesting to me, there's a lot of people, I'm sure you do it, I've done it myself, my wife does it all the time, that when you have a question that you need answered and you don't really know the answer and you want it quickly, you either go to Siri or Google or something like that. And it's amazing how quickly you get an answer back. But I'm going to tell you from experience, from personal experience, that there's not a single blueprint that you can get from either Google or Siri or any other of those areas you can go to find answers to questions, to find one that says, how do you go about trying to find and get 5 institutions to come into your conference? It's not there. I tried. That was the first thing we tried to do. But for sure, one person does not make it happen. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So I want to specifically thank the WAC board and the presidents of the new institutions that are coming in. And the bottom line to this whole expansion is it would not have come to fruition without the support, the vision, and the collaboration of the respective presidents of the 13 member institutions, or soon-to-be member institutions. It's a move that charts an aggressive and exciting course for the conference. It's a move that will enhance the competitive experiences of all student athletes in the conference, in all sports. It's a move that positions the conference for future growth and success. And it's a move that provides stability to the conference in what everybody knows are very uncertain times. And therefore, I'm thrilled to make the official announcement right now of the addition of the 5 quality first-class institutions to soon to become members of the Western Athletic Conference. And they are Southern Utah University, Lamar University, Sam Houston State University, Stephen F. Austin University, and Abilene Christian University. I said it was a historic announcement, and it certainly is. I also said it was effective July 1, 2022. But as Lee Corso likes to say, not so fast, my friends. And in football terms, there's been a sudden change. And that sudden change happened on Tuesday. And if you're probably aware of it, and if you're not, it's simply a situation where the 4 Texas institutions have been, their exit from the Southland Conference has been expedited. And we have every intention from the WAC standpoint to bring them in as members in 21, 22. We still have some protocols that we have to go through, but that's a formality, and I think you can expect, I don't think you can expect, I know you can expect an announcement in the very near future that that's officially the case. So we intend to have them in the league beginning this coming academic year and look forward to working with all of them. So why does this work? How does 13 institutions across the Southwest and Western United States, how do we make it work? And why do we do it? Well, one, I mentioned a few of them earlier, but another one is that it significantly strengthens the WAC's brand. It's already a good brand, but it really strengthens it even further, and improves our national basketball profile, as well as it strengthens all other men's and women's sports in the conference. And we will sponsor 20 championship sports, 10 men's and 10 women's, and all of them will benefit from this. Another thing that's important is that it's economically sustainable. One of our plans is to operate in divisions and to cut travel expense, and that simply makes economic sense. It increases our presence in the Southwest, certainly in the state of Texas for sure, and also through the Western United States. I believe the WAC now has more member Division I institutions in the state of Texas than any other conference. I think that's important for us. And finally, and also very importantly, it brings football back under the WAC umbrella for the first time since the conclusion of the 2012 season. That's a big step for the WAC, it's a big step for our member institutions, and I'm thrilled about it. There's other elements involved with how this thing is going to work. Most of that is covered in the FAQs that were included in your media materials. We can have a chance to speak about it later following the formal part of this press conference. But for right now, I'd like to say thank you for being here, and I'd like to welcome next Brian Mueller, the president of Grand Canyon University. Brian's not only the president, but he's also representing all the current WAC members. He's the immediate past president of the WAC's board of directors, is a current member of the WAC board's executive committee. So Brian.
Thank you, Jeff, and thanks everybody for being here. This is a really big day for us. It's almost surreal when you think about where the WAC has been after a long, illustrious history in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. The last 10 years have been difficult. There were days, weeks, months where we didn't know for sure if we were going to survive. So to go from that point to get to this spot is an amazing thing that happened. I want to say thank you to all of the WAC presidents, all of the new presidents, because it's really interesting to be a part of college sports today for 2 reasons. Number one, when you think about what's happening with the Power 5 conferences and then what's called the mid-majors, there's this split that's taking place, and we don't know for sure where all of that is going to end up. But I, for one, believe that if you get the right people in the room, mid-major conferences can absolutely be a player and compete with the Power 5. But it's an interesting thing to be part of a conference, right? Because you get in a room and you try to chart the strategy for the conference. At the same time, you're thinking about how you can beat the heck out of the other people that are sitting around you. And so it's an interesting thing to navigate. One of the things that I'm grateful for, we became Division I 8 years ago. I'm grateful for the tremendous amount of authenticity and cooperation amongst the WAC presidents, and the same for these new presidents that are going to be part of our conference. I think it's very unusual for people to be able to get into a room and make this happen the way it's happened, but it's a very direct tribute, I think, to the presidents and the athletic directors that we've been able to come together and get on the same page. Why are we excited about this conference? One, and this was by design, but the population in our country, especially because of the pandemic, is moving. And it's moving south and it's moving west. And so when you think about a mid-major conference going forward, it's going to need to consist of schools that have the will and desire and resources to compete. And there's going to be a willowing out here in the next few years. I think what we have now, because Texas is a growing state, the economy is going to be strong. Arizona is a growing state with a strong economy, and Utah is a growing state with a growing economy. We've got now institutions in states whose populations are going to be growing and whose tax bases are going to be able to support mid-major college athletics. That's something very exciting, I think, a reason to be excited. Secondly, if you look at the history of these schools from a basketball perspective, and if you take a look at these 13 schools, minus the ones that will no longer be here, it's not unrealistic to think that this basketball conference can be top 12 in the country. And if you know anything about mid-major athletics today and how to support conferences and roll money from conferences into institutions, it's mainly about basketball. It's about that tournament. And if you can't be competitive in that tournament, get 1, 2, or 3 teams in that win a game or two, it's difficult to keep your conference going. When you think about New Mexico State, Stephen F. Austin, Grand Canyon, what Abilene Christian is doing this year, I think we have the beginnings of a basketball conference that can be a very legitimate competitive player, which could provide the basis for the revenue growth that the conference needs. Next is football. If you look at the records and the history of these football schools, and I'm not a football person, I'm talking about something that's kind of out of, but they're good. They're very good. And there's a lot of people think that as an FCS conference, this can be one of the most competitive conferences in the country. Jeff alluded to it, but the 13 schools and the divisional play is really important. We're going to have a Southwest division, we're going to have a Western division, and for the Olympic sports, the travel is going to be cut down significantly. And so to keep those Olympic sports alive, which everybody's figuring out how to do that, our divisional makeup, which will cut down the travel because the Olympic sports will play from a division perspective, basketball, football, everybody will play, is going to be a way for us to do that, which is going to be very important going into the future. Warm weather. We really like the conference and the makeup and the warm weather part of that, because we have, a lot of us, ambitions around baseball, softball, and those warm weather sports. Travel's going to be easier. I think that's going to be a very significant strength of this conference. And then last, rivalries. You know, a lot of people don't know some of these schools. But if you go to Utah, for example, and you look at Utah Valley State University, it's the largest state university in the state of Utah. They have a bigger student enrollment than either BYU or the University of Utah does. And they've got a very bright future. Dixie State, St. George, Utah is the fastest growing community in America. And so bringing them into our conference in that state is really significant. The state of Utah subsidizes their state universities to the tune of 50% of their revenues. That's really, really significant. And I think the rivalries that are going to be in those Utah schools are going to be very significant in terms of driving attendance. The Texas schools, obviously, and Jeff said, we've got now more Texas schools in our conference than anybody. Those 6 Texas schools are going to build natural rivalries, which I think is going to drive attendance. A big issue in college athletics today is dwindling attendance numbers, especially getting student bodies involved. But if you look at the attendance records of a lot of these institutions, they're very, very strong. And that can be a very big recruiting factor for our universities. Kids want to play in front of crowds, especially in things like football and basketball. And then New Mexico State and Grand Canyon, and I think the rivalries are going to be significant. And so it's an exciting day for us. A lot of us have worked really hard on this. I want to congratulate Jeff for being the commissioner and leading this effort. But it's the beginning of something very, very significant that I think our institutions are going to benefit from, our student athletes are going to benefit from, and I think we're going to have the beginnings here of a very, very strong mid-major conference. So with that, I would like to introduce the president of Abilene Christian University, Dr. Schubert.
Good morning. It's great to see everybody, and as been alluded to, this is truly an historic day, one that is opening the doors to a journey that we will all take together with no doubt to unprecedented levels of achievement and success in both academics and athletics. It's great to be here. It's great to have you here to be part of this with us. As has been mentioned, my comments this morning will be on behalf of my colleagues from Lamar University, Southern Utah University, Stephen F. Austin, and Sam Houston State. And I want to start by saying thank you to Commissioner Hurd, President Mueller, the entire WAC board for the discussions that we've been involved in. They've been thoughtful and thorough for months as we together have considered how this can shape up to be such a mutually beneficial partnership. And if you're in leadership and higher education, one of the things that you're constantly evaluating is athletics. When you consider the visibility that our institutions receive from our athletic programs, as well as the level of financial investment that we make in athletics, it is imperative that we have an athletic program that is propelling our institutions forward in ways that are consistent with the values and the goals and the aspirations that we have. We realized early on in our conversations that the existing WAC membership had a bold vision for athletics. They understood that athletics can propel an entire institution forward, provide life-changing experiences for our student athletes in ways that they live, learn, and grow, and reposition our institutions in a place of strength across a rapidly changing landscape within higher education. We also concluded, as has been said previously, that the Western Athletic Conference enjoys a really strong brand, one that gains national attention and credibility and would benefit all of its members moving forward. We're also excited by the geography of the conference because it will indeed allow, as Dr. Mueller noted, divisional play within the conference. Divisional play in our West and Southwest divisions will allow us to achieve efficiencies that are so important in today's financial challenging environment. We also have long admired the strength of the basketball footprint in the Western Athletic Conference, and we believe that it can push our teams well into the heart of the March Madness postseason tournament and all the benefits that come with that type of position. And yes, we are extremely proud to be bringing football back to the WAC. We intend to build on our existing strengths, but to push forward aggressively the sport of football over the next several years. And so for these and many other reasons that have not necessarily been mentioned today, but are numerous, we are so proud and honored to be accepting the invitation to join the Western Athletic Conference, and we look forward to being part of the team that together pushes forward and does indeed realize new levels of success in both academics and athletics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, President Mueller. Thank you, President Schubert. At this time, I ask the 5 new presidents to open up your black WAC portfolios there. There's a certificate, and let's get you guys in the WAC. As they say on Twitter, hashtag welcome to the WAC. All right, we would like to get some photo opportunities here, so I ask all of our presidents if you can kind of go down below so we can get some group photos, and then after that we will try to get all the ADs together as well and get some good celebratory photos with smiles under those face masks. Thank you everybody for attending. We will have a Zoom press conference following the photo opportunities, and then we'll have the breakout sessions following that.